Hello, and welcome back to Of What He Said About What She Said. We are
The captain
and his lady, and this is video 3. We're at the park, but it's so beautiful. Today is also on a somewhat more serious topic, although really it's all relative to your life attitude. I've been both surprised and impressed with my husband's outlook on what we're going to talk about today. If we go back to April 26th, 2017, can you tell me how you remember this day?
Well, we were working on the bus at the time, and I remember your dad was there. You called me out for something. When I did step out, I had removed my hard hat and glasses, safety glasses, and after taking care of the issue, came back inside, and of course forgot about the safety glasses and picked up a hammer, chisel.
Only takes a second.
Yeah, I was removing rivets from some tin on the inside finish of the bus.
Right.
And sure enough, just on the very first shot, bang down, the rivet just bounced up and got me in the eye.
As I was picking up things around, you called me, and you were really calm.
That's right.
Did you know there was something wrong?
The hit happened, boom, something hit me in the eye, and I thought I blinked fast enough that whatever hit me, it hit me on the eyelid, and I thought, maybe it hit hard enough that it did something, because I was seeing bubbles in my vision.
Okay.
And
were you worried, or? I mean, you called me so calmly, honey. Could you come here, please?
Yeah, exactly. Come and see. I don't think, everything's normal here or something went wrong. Well, what did you see when you...
I said, oh, hold on, I don't really see anything. Let me go get my glasses and I'll be right back. When I looked, I thought, yeah, it's kind of strange. It looks like there's blood coming down from your pupil, and it looks like the pupil hole was torn into the eyeball. It was very strange.
Yeah, you didn't quite tell me all those details.
I didn't want to freak you out.
Yep.
I was just like, yeah, we should go get that checked. I think that would be good.
Yeah. So Kim and I told your dad that we had to leave. Something happened.
Yeah.
And not to worry him, and he left, and we just packed up our tools and
cleaned up. We didn't want to leave a mess. We were at somebody else's yard.
Yeah.
So we cleaned up the yard.
So I was walking around with one eye shut, and then and then guess what? I had a standard pickup truck. You didn't want to drive.
No.
So here I was, and I had to drive the pickup truck.
It's not just that it was a standard, because last video we did talk about you teaching me how to drive stick with your car, and made the windows really super, super dark so that he could keep equipment in it and people wouldn't see in it, which meant I couldn't see out, turning around and looking out, and I will not drive a car that I cannot see when I'm reversing.
Yeah, and I had only one good eye.
Now
you think about that.
We didn't know that at the time.
So to top it all off, we get in the truck, start driving, we're out of gas. So I had to stop for gas, and then finally made our way to the emergency.
Yeah, we called our daughter Kayleela, and we asked her if she could look up online a place where we should go. So she looked up a bunch of information for us and told us where we should go.
We stopped by the walk-in clinic, which would have been, to us, would have been faster. And so when we got there, I got out and went into the appointment, and Kim decided to go get something for the dogs.
The dog was sick. I brought him to the vet.
Yeah. Thing is,
so the dog is very important to me.
Yeah. As soon as I saw I walked in there, told him what was wrong. The doctor came to see me right away, examined my eye real quick, and said, "No, you get to that specialty hospital right away." And so I got out of there. I called Kim, and she was stuck at the vet's trying to take care of something. So I, with an injured eye, started walking down the side of the highway.
What were you thinking?
What was I thinking?
Yeah,
She cares more about her dog than me. But
No, seriously, were you thinking that?
hey, surprise!
We might have to stop and have counseling.
Lots of thoughts went through my mind. All the different specialists that came, they tried to get me to read on the chart, the big letter E at the top and all the letters down below, and they tried to get me to start on the third row, which I told them, I said, listen, don't waste your time. I don't even see what's at the top.
And now, like Fern just told you, the big letter E is at the top. He didn't know that. And I would, it's always the big letter E at the top. But every time he would get, the doctor would ask him to read the letter, he couldn't see it. And I thought, for sure, you must know it's an E by now. But no, now he knows. But he couldn't see the biggest letter at the very top.
As for the injury, while they moved me to a different room, they did some x-rays to find out what's going on. They could see where, the piece, something hit me in the eye. And sure enough, when the x-ray came in, right at the back bottom of the eye was a small piece of metal. So on the x-ray, it showed up as a big white spot along, in that image. Piece of metal went right through the eye, right through the middle, like slightly below the middle. It went through every single important piece of the eye.
Every layer.
Yeah, every single layer. It busted the lens to the point where they had to totally remove it. It went through, it broke the iris, it broke, disturbed all the material in the eye, and then also ripped into the retina.
It's basically like as if someone shot you with a bullet.
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly.
Right through every layer.
That's right. That's right. That's the terminology used.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. You called me on the phone and told me what the doctor said, and you just sounded like so matter of fact, not in the least bit upset.
Yeah. By then I had resigned myself to, there's nothing I can do. I'm in good hands, and I just had this confidence that everything would be okay.
Yeah. So to me, it just seemed like surreal.
Yeah.
Like
it didn't sink
just
in.
Informed me that
yeah,
he might lose his eyeball. He literally told you if the
worst case scenario.
Surgery didn't go well, you could lose your eyeball completely.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of blew me away. But I remember one thing that you kept repeating to me. And over, you kept saying, "Oh, that was so stupid. Why was I so stupid?"
Okay, so the whole thing about the safety glasses, the thing that burns me the most is there was 5 pairs of safety glasses in that bus, right? Mm-hmm. A couple work hats and, safety stuff was there. And it just takes a split second decision. You forget about something and boom, you get penalized for it.
Yeah.
So you take a chance. You take a chance if you don't think of safety first,
Do you remember what I told you when you kept saying that to me?
I'm going to give you the pleasure of saying it all over again.
Does that mean you don't remember, or you're just being so gallant? I just said that that's not God telling you that. God doesn't say things like that. No. God knew this was going to happen, right? Yeah, it's a personal thing, right? Mm-hmm. Everything we go through, doesn't matter what anybody tells us. You have to decide on your own. So did it help you in any way?
Yeah, I just had to be patient. I knew that God had the best in mind for me.
You saw the doctor the very next morning at the clinic. You had the patch over your eye. You were clumsy as all get out. That's a different thing.
Like you're talking about getting used to having just one eye to look out of?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, at first it was tricky. I'm used to it now, obviously, and it's almost like I have 2 eyes, but it's, at first it was tricky, when I got to the edge of stairs or uneven ground or anything like that. Yeah, for sure. It was kind of tricky.
Yeah.
So.
Did it bother you when we tease you about, old one eye or I remember Aaron called you Old One Eye, and the kids called you a pirate.
Or maybe I was acting clumsy just, so you'd lean more, support me, and hang on to me more. Maybe it was a play all along. Yeah, exactly. Maybe.
Well, how did you feel? Like, were you hopeful when you saw the doctor? Like, were you hopeful when he after the surgery?
You know what? There's always an element of hope. Like, I'm always thinking, okay, well, we're going to go through this, and when we come through at the other side, it'll be a bit better, or something will improve, and you know what? I'm still like that today. Like, there was a optometrist in Quebec, like when my stitching, like I have stitches in my eye right now that hold some of those holes shut, and the doctors wanted to keep it in there. But with blinking, the stitches are wearing out and they're busting, and so it pokes out on my eyelid, and it scratches it and it hurts. So anyways, in Quebec, I went to see the optometrist, and I got him to manage to get the stuff poking out. He couldn't get the whole stitch out, but he got the end sticking out. He cut it, and he mentioned to me that, hey, you can go see the specialist here that would, kind of buff out the rough spots in my eye, and that'll give me better vision. Well, guess what? Even those little things give me hope. But
you did go for a second surgery 6 months after the first one, and
correct.
The specialist sounded really encouraging that it might help, and I mean, he did warn that every time there's a surgery on your eye, it increases your huge chance of glaucoma anyways.
Yeah.
But we decided to take the chance, right? Because he said it might improve your vision, and so we were really hopeful, and I think...
When I got the lens put in, I was really hoping to see a big difference.
Right, he was putting in a new lens because you didn't have any lens at all.
That's right. The first surgery was only repairing the retina. The second surgery was adding a lens.
Right.
And that was practically a year apart. It was a year apart.
It was 6 months.
Was it 6 months? April and then February.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. No,
April, February.
Yeah. A good 9 months or so.
We could argue about dates. We always do that, by the way. We have to split it down the middle somewhere and be just satisfied with it.
So anyway.
I must be doing good. You didn't hit me this time.
You're too close. I can't get my arm out.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. What?
Yeah. On that note, we had some feedback on our 2 videos. And the first video, we had some feedback about how we ended the first one because, we gave each other a kiss. I mean, oh, heaven forbid we do. We're married, but, And the second video, I had feedback about when I got overexcited and punched Fern's arm. So apparently affection is not as enjoyable to see as abuse. Anyway, on this note for today,
maybe it's the woman hitting the guy. Maybe that's what it is.
No. Abuse is never good. So, back to our point here. I was very hopeful after your surgery. You said you were hopeful, but who seemed the most disappointed? Because after the second surgery, there was no improvement whatsoever. You thought it actually seemed to make it worse because there was more scarring.
Yeah, the scarring definitely. It's because the light became more fractured, right? Because of the stitching. Or the lens magnified the effect.
The other thing too is that notice Fern has his sunglasses on. He's supposed to keep his sunglasses on outside at all times. It lets in way too much light, and it causes pain, right?
Yeah, that's it. Like when I'm driving, when there's even at night in the city where there's a lot of lights and cars, oncoming light and that kind of stuff, it is extremely hard. If I'm at night in the countryside where there's no other lights, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But it's when there's too many lights around.
Right.
And during the day, sometimes if there's too much light coming into my bad eye, then it affects what I can see out of the other one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So as I was asking about after the surgery, out of both of us, who was more disappointed that nothing improved?
Well, you were pretty upset that nothing improved. You definitely were. Yeah. So
I think I was very upset because I thought we
would move on.
We would just move on. Yeah, sometimes it's nice to just be able to accept things and get used to it and move on, as opposed to a continued false hope, right?
Yeah.
And I just felt bad. Like when you're someone that you love and you know that they're hopeful about something and it doesn't work out, you're always disappointed for them. When you when you were home,
yeah,
I have two questions. A, were you a good and obedient patient? Did you keep your your head down at your waist or lower?
I'm always good. I am a good boy. Yes.
Nice. So, did we have to kick you out of where we were constructing the bus conversion and send you back to bed where you were supposed to be, lying flat on your face?
I always obeyed.
Should we take a poll of the people that were around at that time? Did you have a difficult time obeying the doctor's instructions?
Okay. The instructions were, as soon as this thing happened and I got the first surgery, I was supposed to stay head down, not moving, for 10 days straight. Okay, head down, okay? And even if I had to get up to go somewhere, to do something, I had to walk and keep my head down. That is very difficult.
Yes, and it wasn't supposed to just be like this. It was you were supposed to be bent right over.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just slightly down. It's like, okay, walk with your body bent over and keep your head down, because it's very important to keep the
pressure.
Is it for pressure? Was it pressure? Anyways, for healing and for everything else, I had to keep my head down for 10 days. And of course, we were in a situation where we were out of our house. We were living in a camper trailer and only had less than a month to move into the bus. So yeah, the pressure was on. And 10 of those crucial days I had to be head down, and even after that I wasn't even able to...
You weren't able to do any lifting or any forcing whatsoever for a month. So how did you feel about being cared for? I mean, how did you feel about like a bunch of people showing up and taking care of you and just doing everything for you? Like, I mean, hey, you could use the loo on your own, but everything else was, like your work was done for you.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
I was thankful that I had people there to help me, for sure. There's crucial people in my life. You, number one, obviously. Taking care of me properly and making sure that I'm looked after, fed and correcting me if I'm disobeying. And
I'm good at that part.
What? Oh, I know. Anyways, I admit it. I appreciate her correction once in a while. But anyways, yeah, it's tough. It was definitely tough for those 10 days to stay down and to not be involved.
Did you continue running your business while you were...
Yeah, what's funny about that time period is I was at a very crucial point in my business where I had 2 huge clients that wanted my services. And I was working those deals out, and I just didn't want to lose them. I was worried that these jobs would come in a time that I wouldn't even be able to do them. And I discussed with you, like, even other people, to bring in some subcontractors to try to do these jobs or whatever. But you know what? It all turned out. Like, first of all, the jobs didn't come to start until after my 10 days, and even a month after I was up. So even though I wasn't allowed to work, I recruited someone to come and help me. And yours truly. Good
That's
looking.
right. And you taught me how to do everything you do, and we started with the small jobs first. See, God was in control.
Yeah.
The small jobs first, and the big ones came when you were able to get back to work.
That's right. When you look back at it, those are the two biggest jobs that I've had as a Captain Electron. So it kind of helped me out to get kind of back on my feet after being out for like 3 months straight.
And being that we had no insurance and we were self-employed, how did you know that God was taking care of you?
It was a very humbling time. Like, a lot of people came, a lot of people gave their time helping with the bus. A lot of people gave financially, actually, to even help us out.
That's right.
And we made it through, and that's what counts, right?
What started out seemingly bad did have a good side to it.
Oh, for sure. I strongly believe that.
I was always very impressed with the way you dealt with it. I was very encouraged, and you just didn't seem to be brought down by this in any way, shape, or form. And I just can't imagine if I would lose sight in one eye, how I would be able to cope with just everyday things. And not to mention that sometimes you think, well, I'm going through this, but it's not forever. But this is not necessarily forever, but for the rest of your life here. And so have you continued to be okay with the situation, or have you struggled with it at all in any time since?
I'd say more lately than at the beginning. I think I've lost sight a little bit, not in the vision. You know, the vision's always stayed the same. It hasn't improved, but I've had some issues with frustration.
It took a good year or so before your mind started dealing with the trauma. In the big things and the small things, God will give you peace, and He will give you everything you need when you need it.
I can definitely account for that. Yeah. Yep.
Spiritually, mentally, physically, in every area we were taken care of.
For sure. All right, folks, for our next video, it's going to be my turn to interview Kim about something that she's passionate about. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next week.